The stars were calm, cold, silent. A single ship drifted through the black, surrounded by nothing but the endless void. It was peaceful, too peaceful. The Mercy Dawn, Earth's largest hospital ship, glowed like a beacon in the dark. Its hull was pure white, marked clearly with the Red Cross of Mercy. No weapons, no escort. Just doctors, medics, and patients recovering from war. It moved slowly near the edge of the neutral zone, between Earth's territory and the outer systems. This zone was protected by galactic law. No weapons, no conflict. All ships in that space had safe passage. That was the rule, and everyone followed it until that day. Nurse Elena Vasquez stood by the observation window on Deck 12. She had just finished her shift in the trauma ward. Her arms ached, but her heart felt warm. 3 wounded soldiers had smiled today. One even walked again for the first time since the bombing of Delta Prime. She watched the stars blink slowly, so quiet, so peaceful. Then light. Not the kind from stars, not the gentle glow of nearby satellites. This was fast, flashing wrong. Her eyes widened. Light streaked across. The hull. Then another, then 5. An explosion shook the entire ship deck. 14 disappeared in fire. Screams echoed through the medical decks. We're under attack. This is Mercy Dawn. You're an unarmed vessel. Do not fire. A voice called over the comms. Another. Blast. Deck 7 tore open into space. Patients, doctors, nurses, gone. Captain Idris Juno raced to the bridge. His white coat flowed behind him, stained with blood from a patient he'd been helping. "Get me a visual," he shouted. The screen lit up with static. Then clarity. A ship. Dark. Sleek. Alien. It didn't match any known registry. No lights, no warnings. Just death. They were firing from the shadows with pinpoint precision. Each shot aimed to cripple, not just destroy. They wanted the Mercy Dawn to suffer. "Send a distress signal to Earth," Idris shouted. "We're being jammed, sir." Of the officers cried. Another blast. The lights went out. Only emergency red remained. Nurse Alina crawled through a collapsed corridor, dragging a young patient by the hand. The girl had lost her leg a week ago. Now she could barely breathe. "I've got you, Alina," whispered, her voice trembling. Another explosion shook the floor. They were being hunted. The alien ship circled like a predator. One of the medics whispered, "Why? We're not soldiers." No answer came. Another section blew apart. Fires spread. Oxygen hissed into space. And then, nothing. The firing stopped. Not because the enemy had mercy, but because the Mercy Dawn was. Finished, floating in space, half the ship now gone, the Mercy Dawn was a wreck of smoke and drifting corpses. Pieces of white hull and torn stretchers scattered into the black. A teddy bear floated near a broken window, slowly turning in zero gravity. On the bridge, Captain Idris pulled himself to a console. Blood streamed down his face. He pressed a final button at short range. Emergency beacon. A weak signal escaped the... Jommingfield, his hand dropped. Then the enemy ship turned, vanished into the black, and left no trace. 6 hours later, the signal reached Earth in the United Defense Command Center. Deep under Geneva, alarms blared. Admiral Kora Vale rushed into the war room. Dozens of screens flickered with static, then showed the emergency. Beacon's log. Footage appeared. The last moments of the Mercy. Dawn screams, flames, explosions, and that final message. "This is Captain Idris Juno of the Mercy Dawn. We are unarmed. We are under attack." They're not responding. The video cut off. Silence fell in the room. Then Cora stepped forward. "Do we know who did this?" she asked. "No claim. No ID," said an officer. "The ship had stealth tech. Could be black market. Could be hired. Any survivors?" "Unknown. Last scan showed full crew manifest 1,200 on board. Doctors, medics, wounded civilians." The room fell quiet. A coldness settled over Admiral Kora's face. Her jaw clenched. No warning. No mercy, she said softly. They hit a hospital. Ship. She turned to the command console. Begin fleet recall. Initiate Omega directive. The officer's eyes widened. Ma'am, that protocol hasn't been used in over a century. I know what it is, Kora said. Her voice was calm. Deadly. They wanted war. We'll show them what that means. Across Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Hospital ship destroyed, minus 1,200 feared dead. Earth demands answers from Galactic Council. No claim of responsibility, attack called cowardly. Vigils were held. Millions wept. Pictures of nurses, doctors, children lit screens across the colonies. The Red Cross of the Mercy Dawn became a symbol of grief and of rage. The Galactic Council released a weak statement. An investigation will be opened. We urge all sides to remain calm. But Earth was not calm. The people didn't want peace. They wanted revenge. Admiral Kora stood aboard the EHS Vindicator, a personal battleship. She stared at the stars through the war deck window. Behind her, Earth's Iron Vengeance Armada began to assemble Titan-class destroyers, ghost ships, stealth cruisers, strike carriers, each ship loaded. Shields hot, engines primed. She looked down at a photo in her hand. A girl with dark hair, smiling in a hospital bed aboard the Mercy Dawn. Her daughter in the darkness between the stars. A new signal echoed. Not a cry for help. Not a message of peace. Just 2 words. Fleet mobilized. And from the shadows, Earth's war machines began to move. Far beneath the snowy peaks of old Geneva, buried under ice and steel, was a room that most of Earth didn't know existed. Inside, the air was tense. A massive round table of reinforced titanium sat in the center. Around it, Earth's top leaders, generals, and intelligence chiefs stood in silence. The walls were lined with displays maps, tactical readouts, casualty lists. But the center screen showed only one image, the burning wreckage of the Mercy Dawn. The footage played again. And again. Screams. Fire. The medical cross disappearing into flame. Static. Admiral Kora Vale stood at the head of the table. She hadn't blinked in over a minute. Her jaw was locked. Her fingers gripped the edge of the table like she might crush it. Finally, she spoke. Do we have confirmation? Yes, said a grim-faced analyst. The beacon came from the Mercy Dawn. Their ID codes are authentic. The ship was in the neutral zone, fully legal. No weapons, no escort, no survivors, asked the president. No response to hails. Nothing on the black box beacon. We believe all hands lost. 1,200 souls. The silence grew deeper. They hit a hospital ship, Kora said. They didn't just kill our people. They made a statement. The room remained still. Then she said the words that would change the galaxy. Initiate Omega directive. Gasps filled the room. One of the ministers rose in protest. Admiral, that's an act of full military retaliation. We don't even know who. I don't care who, Kora said, her voice flat. They want us to be afraid, to hesitate. I think we'll hold back again. Her eyes narrowed. They're wrong. The Omega Directive was created 112 years ago. After Earth's first near-extinction war with the Sharathi hegemony, it was only to be used if Earth's survival was threatened or, if an enemy committed a war crime beyond forgiveness. Only 3 people on Earth had the clearance to activate it. Now, the red light on the table turned solid. The order was live. Across the solar system, Earth's deadliest fleet began to wake. In orbit around Mars, the EHS Vindicator lit its engines. Its hull shimmered with next-gen armor. Hundreds of smaller warships aligned beside it. Each ship had a single new patch on its side, a white cross. Slashed by flame, it was the symbol of the Mercy Dawn. Burned into memory. More ships joined from Earth's colonies, Venus, Ganymede, Europa. Some were stealth ships, never before seen by the public. Others were Titan-class dreadnoughts floating cities of war. This was the Iron Vengeance, Armada, and they weren't here to negotiate. The Galactic Council met in emergency session 2 days later. Representatives from dozens of species shouted over each other, "They can't activate the Omega Directive. It was just one ship. We need time to investigate." A human envoy, Ambassador Lynn R.S., stood silently in the center of the council floor. Her eyes were cold. She raised a small datapad, pressed play. Footage of the Mercy Dawn played on the main screen and cut. Uncensored. Screams, fire, medical wards exploding, gasps. In silence, Lynn looked around the room, then said only one thing. "We are not asking for permission." She turned and walked out. Back on Earth, Kora stood with Colonel Day Kim, head of Earth Intelligence. They looked over intercepted transmissions from black market channels. One message stood out. A garbled alien voice. "Payment received, hospital target eliminated, no survivors." Kora's face turned to stone. "It was a hit," Day said. Bay said. "Planned, quiet. Someone wanted this." Kora's voice was quiet now. "Then we'll make noise." The first mission wasn't loud. Not yet. A small Earth. Stealth ship entered the outer zone of a suspected pirate base on Rylos 3, the pirate clan. Victon was known to take assassination contracts. The Earth ship didn't warn them. It just launched one. Orbital kinetic rod, no fire, no explosion. It's pure velocity. The entire pirate moon split in half. No warning. It's no survivors. The message was clear. You killed healers. Now face the ones who kill. The attacks continued. A black market trade station vanished into vacuum. A suspected mercenary hub was found burning in orbit. Anonymous signals were intercepted, filled with fear. "Don't take human jobs." Earth's gone mad. They're coming. But Earth wasn't mad. Earth was focused. Kora stood on the command bridge of the Vindicator. Her voice echoed across the fleet. "Do not target civilians. Do not strike planets. But every hand that helped destroy the Mercy Dawn will burn." Despite the hits, the true mastermind had not been found. Someone had hired the killers. Someone with resources, power, and no fear of Earth. But now that fear was growing. The council tried to stall, tried to speak of peace. But peace was not the goal. Justice was in a quiet room. Lena Vasquez's name was etched into a wall of light, alongside 1,199 others. A memorial floated over Geneva, holographic replica of the Mercy Dawn. Whole and shining, forever frozen in time. Below it, crowds gathered. They didn't chant for war, they chanted for answers. It began as a whisper in space, a simple, broken transmission, bouncing across forgotten satellites near the edge of known. Space, Mercy Dawn, neutral zone, no survivors. Credits transferred. Target confirmed. The signal was dirty, fragmented, but not lost. In a Black Ops base hidden inside a hollowed asteroid near Jupiter. Earth's intelligence agents played it over and over again. It wasn't just evidence, it was a confession. Someone paid to have. The Mercy Dawn destroyed, and they had used freelancers. Mercenaries, pirates, ghost crews, unregistered, untraceable, disposable. But Earth had its own ghosts now, and they were ready to strike. High above Mars. 5 stealth ships activated their cloaking fields. No windows, no lights, no noise. Just matte black holes, shaped like razors. This was Ghost Squadron 9, Earth's newest prototype fleet, powered by AI co-pilots, quantum tracking, and zero-emission drives. Their orders were clear. Do not engage fleets, do not take prisoners. Destroy the hubs, erase the names. Admiral Kora Vale stood on the command bridge of the Vindicator, watching them disappear from sensors. She didn't need to say anything. This wasn't war. This was the message in the outer belt of the Krellin system. Station K-47 floated like a rusted nail in space. A known black market trading hub. No laws, no questions, no flags. Inside, pirates drank alien liquor. Merc traders sold stolen med supplies. And mercenary leaders counted credits in the dark corners. One of them, tall insectoid named Treshik, bragged about a recent clean job on a human vessel. He didn't get to finish his drink. Outside, the stars flickered and went dark. No alarms, no warnings, just silence. Then, silver beam cut through the station's reactor core. There was no explosion, no fireball, just a ripplant, then nothing. Station K-47 was gone. The only thing left was a floating signal drone. It pulsed once. Then, broadcast a message for the Mercy Dawn. The second target was a hidden supply base used by mercenary networks who took high-risk assassination contracts. It orbited a gas giant and was shielded by ion storms. But Earth's ghost fleet slipped through undetected on the ground. Trained in full armor, drones flew, ships landed, and took off. They were preparing for something big maybe, their next job. They never got the chance. 3 orbital rods fell silently from high orbit. Pure tungsten, no fuel. No heat, just gravity. One hit the base directly. One hit the landing pads. One hit the underground hangars. When the dust settled, only a crater remained. The ghost fleet didn't wait. They were already moving to the next location. The news spread. Fast. Stations were vanishing. Bases destroyed. Entire networks gone without warning. Some tried to claim it was solar flares. Others said it was a new alien plague. But everyone knew the truth. Earth was hunting. And they weren't asking for names, they were erasing them. On the outer rim, rumors flew. Don't take human jobs. If you saw the Mercy Dawn footage. You know why? Ghost ships, they don't talk. They just kill. Some feared it. Some respected it. Most just stayed quiet. Admiral Kora stood before the Security Council, the president. Military generals and planetary leaders all watched her. Operation Silent Storm was successful, she said. We've eliminated 3 key targets connected to the attack. Do we know who paid them? Asked the president. Not yet, she replied. But we found something. She tapped a display. A recording played a hidden message left behind in one of the mercenary data cores before it was destroyed. A voice, smooth, calculating. Tell your Admiral this was just the beginning. The humans are too loud, too bold. Time to remind them of their place. Silence fell. The voice wasn't from a pirate or a thug. It was noble-sounding, precise, educated Earth. Had heard this tone before. It belonged to the Thalrex Dominion, one of the oldest. Richest and most powerful empires in the galaxy, they had never attacked Earth directly until now. Later that night, Kora stood alone on the Vindicator's war deck. She looked out at the stars. Behind her, the full Iron Vengeance Armada was now on high alert, battle-ready. More ships had joined from nearby. Colonies, she whispered. You sent shadows to kill our healers. We'll send fire to your throne. She turned and gave the order. Prepare Strike Protocol Gamma. Move us toward Thalrex borders. Quietly. The Galactic Council called Earth again. They begged for talks. Please stand down. Let us investigate. Don't escalate this into a war. Earth's ambassador didn't argue. She simply sent one. Data package to every council member. A list, names, times, targets, and next to each line. Simple checkmark. Eliminated. The message was clear. Earth is not asking for war. Earth is ending. One you started. In deep space, a private mercenary channel crackled to life. At first only static, then laughter. Rough, alien, careless. One shot. And the whole galaxy scared of ghosts. The voice didn't know it was being traced. It didn't know the signal was bouncing through 6 dead satellites and that someone on the other end was listening. Back on Earth, deep in a secure listening post under Antarctica, Agent Keller leaned closer to his headset. His eyes narrowed. He turned up the volume. The voice continued. Those humans never saw it coming. Paid well, too. Easy credits for the boss. He wanted noise. Got fire instead. Keller froze. This wasn't just a random boast. It was a confession, and it was the first real clue Earth had gotten. Inside Earth Intelligence HQ, the room was cold and windowless. Digital walls flickered with intercepted signals, spy data, AI-enhanced facial scans. A map of the outer galaxy blinked with dozens of red dots, each one an unknown. Agent Keller stood beside Colonel Day Kim, Earth's chief of intelligence. "We've got a name," Keller said. "Calcine only. Goes by Eric's. Bounty broker. Works through ghost networks. Never shows his face." Colonel Kim nodded slowly. "And this, Eric's. He arranged the hospital ship strike." "Sounds like it. But he didn't pull the trigger. He sold the contract." "Then we don't need to find one killer," Kim muttered. "Oh, we need to find the one who paid." Keller took a breath, and that's where it gets strange. He tapped a screen. A web of connections spread out a Rex in the center, branching. Lines linking to smugglers, warlords, pirate lords, and rogue diplomats. One line pulsed bright red. "Credit transfer came from a dead account," Keller said. "A black fund used by the Thal Rex Dominion during the Core Wars." Colonel Kim's eyes narrowed. "That's impossible. That account was shut down 100 years ago." "Apparently not. Someone reactivated it through 5 shadow banks, all linked to Thal Rex nobles." Back on the Vindicator, Admiral Kora stood alone in her command room. She stared at a paused frame from the wreck of the Mercy. Dawn smoke flamed, a child's drawing floating through the air. She closed her eyes, then opened them again hard, focused. Voice chimed from the comms. "Admiral, we have something." Colonel Kim's voice echoed through the command deck as he explained the data. Eric's dead accounts, hidden money trails, and one final name? High Lord Velisor Dren, Thal Rex nobility. Rich, protected, untouchable. Except not anymore. Kora's voice was sharp. "Confirm the trail. Get me proof. We'll have it in 48 hours. She nodded. "Then we hunt." Stealth cruiser Spectre 12 jumped into orbit around Zarin V, a free world system known for its lawless ports. Here brokers and smugglers traded secrets faster than cargo. Agent Keller, now in full armor, stepped into a flickering cantina deep inside the planet's underbelly. Neon lights, alien music, smoke-filled vents. He found a creature with a name, Vask. Tyran. Once part of Arx's circle, Keller sat across from the creature. "I'm not here to kill you," said simply. Vask hissed. "Everyone says that before they start shooting." Keller smiled, then talked fast. What Vask said changed everything. Eric's was just the middleman. The contract came with strict instructions. No survivors. Target. Mercy Dawn. Human vessel. Hospital class. Payment came in Thal Rex royal credits, the kind only nobles used during wartime. And most importantly, the order was meant to provoke Earth, not win a war, just ignite one, the man behind it. Vask whispered, "Wanted Earth to fire back, to strike first. He wants chaos." "Who?" Keller asked. Vask looked scared now. "You don't say his name in open space." "He's not just a noble. He's a monster wearing a crown." Back on the Vindicator, Admiral Kora stood before the full command council. "High Lord Velisor Dren," she said. "Thal Rex noble. Once led the Shadow Wing during the Core Wars, vanished. After peace, now he's backhand. He wanted us to retaliate." "Why?" asked her Exo. "To force Earth into war before we're ready. To isolate us. Make us the aggressors. Maybe to cover up something else? Should we back down?" Someone asked. Kora stared at them. "No, we don't run." She looked at the map of Thal Rex space. "But now we know where to aim." The Galactic Council demanded answers. Why was Earth destroying pirate stations? Why were there fleets moving toward Thal Rex space? Was Earth trying to start a war? Ambassador Lynn Eras stood before them again. She didn't flinch. "We have evidence," she said. "Thal Rex nobles paid to murder our medical staff and wounded civilians. If you won't bring them to justice," she looked at every alien delegate in the eye, "they will." The council shouted. Some called for sanctions, others for peace, but none denied the evidence. Earth had just dropped on the table. On the edge of Thal Rex territory, an outpost lit up with alarms. "Unknown object incoming." No ID, too small to be a ship. They locked weapons, but it didn't matter. The object exploded harmless. It was a probe inside. It was a hologram. Admiral Kora appeared. She said only 2 words. "We know." Then the hologram vanished. The Thalrex defense commander went pale. There, coming inside the lounge of a luxury Thalrex orbital station Alaris, point the rich and powerful gathered in comfort. Holographic art floated in the air. Music played softly. Drinks sparkled with chemicals not even legal in Earth space. At one table, a group of Thalrex nobles and war merchants laughed over a playback recording. It was footage of the Mercy Dawn, exploding in slow motion. Shouts and static crackled through the audio. They raised glasses. To a clean job, one of them smirked. Only humans would cry over dead doctors. Another chuckled. And now they burn a few pirate outposts and think it's justice. But the laughter didn't last. The lights flickered. A distant alarm rang. Then silence. Every screen in the lounge changed at once. No command, no access, just a single image. The white cross of the Mercy Dawn, torn and burning. And underneath it Earth's reply, "We do not forget." A moment later, the orbital station lost all power. The nobles screamed. The alarms howled. Then the stars lit with the fire of incoming missiles, and Alaris Point was erased from the sky. The iron.
Ow.
Vengeance Armada had now moved into the outer edge of Thalrex-controlled space. Still no declaration of war, no official statement from Earth, but the message was everywhere. You struck mercy now. You face fury, Thalrex. Colonies were in panic. Transport lanes emptied. Warships were recalled from distant frontiers. Civilian ships fled, and behind them, Earth's stealth cruisers followed silently watching, waiting on Earth's networks. The footage of Alaris's Point spread like wildfire. Every human who had lost someone on the Mercy Dawn watched it burn and felt something they hadn't in weeks, justice. On the command bridge of the Vindicator, Admiral Kora Vale studied the growing list of destroyed targets Ghost Squadron had taken. Out 12 black market hubs and 7 illegal communications arrays. Now, the rest of the fleet was ready. Still, Kora hesitated. "We've shown them the cost," her exo said. "Why not stop now?" She shook her head. "Because the man behind it still breathes. And while he does this isn't over," she walked to the holomap and pointed at the marked location, Velisir Dren's hidden estate. Deep in the Rivik system, protected by neutral treaties and layers of false IDs, he thinks his throne will shield him. She turned coldly. It won't. Inside a gilded palace hidden beneath a mountain of the planet Rivak Prime, High Lord Velisir Dren listened to the reports. His smile was tight, artificial. "They're acting like wounded animals," said. Voice smooth as ice. "Lashing out. But they're making enemies." One of his advisors swallowed hard. "They destroyed Alaris Point, my lord." "That was... I gave the order," Dren interrupted, sipping from a crystal glass. "Let them burn shadows. I control the light." He stared out the tall window at the orbital defense grid. "Send word to the core houses. If Earth approaches Rivak, we'll activate the Skychain protocol." The advisor hesitated. "That's meant for galactic wars, my lord." And perhaps Dren said, his voice now sharp, "We're in one." Back on the Vindicator, Earth's strike force had intercepted communications from Thalrex panic channels. The nobility was scrambling, trying to hide assets, erase data, flee to safe worlds. But Earth's fleets were faster. At waypoint D12, luxury liner carrying 4 war profiteers exploded before it could reach the jump gate. In the Drevik belt, 2 more smugglers with ties to RX were found. No wreckage remained. Every time someone involved in the Mercy Dawn tragedy tried to run, they vanished. One Thalrex commander sent a message. "Where are they attacking from?" "See them. They strike, then disappear." The reply from Earth's command drone was chilling. That's how ghosts work. Across the galaxy, fear of Earth spread. But it wasn't wild rage. It was measured cold, relentless, one by one. The galaxy's worst whispered the same thought. Maybe we shouldn't have touched the Mercy Dawn. Some tried to spin the story. "We didn't know it was a hospital ship," The mercenaries went rogue, was a mistake, but the footage said otherwise. Everyone had seen the white hole. Everyone had seen the red cross. And now, everyone saw the fire. The Galactic Council begged for communication. They pleaded with Earth to send a representative instead. Kora herself sent a single encrypted broadcast across neutral space. It was short. We offered mercy. You murdered it. We offered silence. You mocked it. Now we offer nothing but fire. This is not vengeance. This is balance. The message ended with the Mercy Dawn's logo, and the galactic map lit up with red zones marked Hostile Avoid.
Taste.
Agent Keller returned to Earth. Intelligence was something new, a full dump from one of Eric's abandoned caches. Inside, payment logs. Names of hired mercenaries. Encrypted orders with Thalrek's noble seals. But one document stood out. A full projection of Earth's diplomatic response time. In it, Velisir Dren's advisors had guessed Earth would hesitate for at least 60 days. Instead, Earth retaliated in less than 6. The calculations were wrong. Horribly wrong, and now, Dren's plan was falling apart. The camera drifts slowly through the silent halls of the Vindicator, Earth's flagship. The engines hum like a distant growl. The crew walks with calm, trained purpose. They don't speak much anymore. In her private quarters, Admiral Kora Vale stands alone, armored, silent. She opens her locker, inside taped to the metal walls. A single photo, 3 smiling faces, her daughter, her wife, her son. The back of the photo is signed, "Be safe, Mommy. We'll be waiting when you come back." But they never got to wait. They were on board the Mercy Dawn. When the ship exploded, so did her world. She shuts the locker, turns, and says just for words, "It's time to end this." Kora stood on the command deck of the Vindicator, eyes locked. On the glowing coordinates of Rivek Primed, the hidden fortress of Velisir, Dren, she had given her fleet every chance to leave. No one did. Earth Command didn't try to stop her. Not anymore. Too many families had been hurt. Too many children lost. The time for restraint had passed. Now it was just as delivered. Through fire and steel, she opened the encrypted channel. All strike groups prepare for insertion. Ghost squads will disable the planetary shields. Our objective is simple. Cut off the head of the snake. She paused. Velisir Dren dies tonight. Earth's fleet didn't arrive with horns or trumpets. It came in silence, dropping cloaked drop pods through the thick clouds of Rivik Prime. Each pod carried a black Talon squad. Elite recon and kill teams trained for war on hostile worlds. They landed near Dren's private fortress, hidden deep in the glacial peaks of Mount Tellerese. The shield grid flickered briefly, then fell. Dren's palace guards were elite. It's paid well. Armed better than most small armies. But they weren't ready for humans who had nothing left to lose. In under 15 minutes, Earth's forces had breached. The outer walls, the last fortress of Velisir Dren, stood at the top of his tower. Looking down at the flames creeping closer, he couldn't believe it. He had predicted Earth would retaliate. But not like this. He expected a few political moves. A protest, closed border. Not full-scale ghost warfare. Not orbital strikes. Not Admiral Kora Vale herself coming for him. He turned to his last bodyguard. Shaking, "Call the core houses. Call anyone. Tell them I'll pay double." The bodyguard didn't respond. He was already dead. A black armored figure stood in the doorway. Admiral Deselti forward. No weapons drawn, just a hard, burning stare that made the air feel colder than the snowstorm raging outside. Dren backed. "Away. I never meant for it to go that far," he gasped. "The mercenaries were hired by you," Kora said coldly. "They didn't fire by accident. They had the coordinates. They targeted the medical bay first. I was told Earth would take months to respond." "You weren't supposed to?" Kora stepped closer. "You murdered my family." His mouth opened, but no words came. She raised a small device and pressed it. Outside, the tower shuddered. Explosions bloomed in the sky. The final defense systems were falling. "This is for every child on that ship," she said. And then quietly, "Goodbye." She turned and walked away as the building collapsed behind her. Later that day, across hundreds of systems, screens flickered to life. Admiral Vale's face appeared. Calm, cold, firm, Velasurdrin is dead. The man who ordered the destruction of the Mercy Dawn has answered for his crimes. Earth's retaliation is over. She looked directly into the camera. But let the galaxy understand. If you ever harm a human hospital, if you ever attack those who offer aid, you will see what comes next. Mercy was our strength. Now, it is your warning. The screen faded to black. With Dren gone, the Thalrex leadership fractured. Civil unrest broke out across their worlds. Citizens demanded peace. Some begged Earth for forgiveness. Others tried to flee before they were next. But Earth didn't fire again. They had done what they came to do. The fleet left as silently as it had arrived. All that remained on Rivik Prime was ash and memory. Admiral Kora Vale stood alone at a memorial wall. It listed every name from the Mercy Dawn. She found her family's names, traced her. Fingers over each one. She didn't cry. Not anymore. She just whispered, "It's done," and walked away. Asterisk across every corner of the galaxy and mining moons. Trade hubs and warship screens flickered with the same chilling message. Admiral Kora Vale. Eyes cold, voice calm. Velasurdrin is dead. Earth's response is complete. If you harm our healers again, you will not survive what comes next. Silence followed, then chaos. Some species watched in fear, others in awe, a few in anger. But in one distant system, an empire didn't feel fear at all. They felt insulted. The Zarketh Dominion, a proud warrior empire, saw Earth's actions not as justice, but as a challenge, and their leader, High Regent Jarnock, made a choice he would regret for the rest of his short life. The Zarketh weren't allies of Dren. They didn't even like him, but they hated weakness, and to them, hospital ship was weakness. So when they saw Earth's retaliation, they saw humans as emotional, reckless, and vulnerable to baiting. Their response was swift. They seized a Terran's relief station on the edge of the neutral zone, claiming it violated Zarketh's space. Inside were 47 humans, doctors, scientists, nurses, all civilians. The Dominion called it a minor territorial correction. Earth called it an act of war. When news of the Zarketh raid hit Earth, no debates were held, no committees formed, no warnings given. This time, Earth didn't strike with a single fleet. They sent 3 each, carrying new cryolance weapons, able to freeze Zarketh hulls at the molecular level before smashing them to dust. Admiral Vale didn't speak to the press. She sent one message to the Zarketh regent: return. Are people unharmed? Or I come next. They didn't respond, so she came. The Zarketh were known for strength and raw numbers. They had never faced Earth's precision. As the human fleets warped into Corin's Gate, Zarketh scrambled their cruisers, assuming another head-on assault. They were wrong. Instead of open war, Earth deployed disruption drones, EMP fields, and signal ghost scans, sensors, and isolating entire ships. Then the cryolances, decreasing warships with surgical cold, freezing them solid before cracking them in half like glass in 32 minutes. The entire Zarketh 7th Fleet ceased to exist. Not one Earth ship was lost, as Earth's fleet carved a path to the stolen station. Zarketh's ground forces opened fire, but Earth's Marines had trained for this, with grav boots, pulse shields, and adaptive armor. They crashed into the surface like living comets. Within 6 minutes, all 47 hostages were recovered. None were harmed. The last surviving Zarketh commander tried to beg for mercy. He was stunned and left alive so he could deliver one message: back, tell your regent. Earth will not tolerate another strike. Back on Zarketh Prime, High Regent Jarnock was silent. His pride, his fleets had been shattered in a single day. Even his war council turned against him, one by one. The vassals of the Zarketh Dominion declared neutrality. Others offered tribute to Earth instead. And in a dim chamber of the palace, Jarnock finally understood. They had poked a world that had already been hurt. And Earth did not forgive. Other empires watched. The Trivon Consortium canceled a planned embargo on Earth, the Mechri clans opened trade routes and offered medical partnerships. Even old rivals like the Carvel Accord sent messages of respect, fear. Yes, but also recognition, because the humans hadn't just avenged an attack. They had drawn a line in the stars, and the galaxy had seen it, in a hospital on Earth orbit. One of the rescue doctors sits with Admiral Kora Vale. She tries to thank her. Kora shakes her head. "I wasn't rescuing you," she says softly. "I was making a promise." The doctor blinks. "To who?" Kora doesn't answer. She looks out the window at Earth glowing quietly below. "To everyone we lost." In a darkened command deck, Admiral Kora Vale stares into the camera. The fleet behind her is quiet, motionless, but armed. Her message is clear, broadcasted across every channel. In every language, we are not conquerors. We are not invaders. But if you ever harm our civilians again, Earth will not respond with fleets. You will respond with extinction. Then she ends the transmission, and the galaxy goes still, not from fear, but because they believe. Across countless worlds, leaders hold emergency meetings. Trade unions draft new treaties. Pirates disappear into hiding. Even hostile empires pause, questioning everything. Because Earth didn't take territory. It didn't demand tribute. It didn't enslave or boast. It acted, then left, and that made it more terrifying than any empire in the known galaxy. The wreckage of the Zarkith fleet still floats above Corrin's gate, untouched. Morning. A graveyard. On Dren's former capital. The ruins of their command palace are sealed in crystal, preserved by Earth. Engineers as a symbol. The phrase engraved in 100 alien languages. Mercy is sacred. Those who violate it answer to Earth. No patrols remain. They don't need to. The message is louder in silence. Earth's fleets return home, but not all the way. Some hover in neutral space, stationed at relief corridors. Others support planetary hospitals and escort medical convoys. For the first time in galactic history, a species leads with protection, not power. And yet, power follows them anyway. Allies offer to join Earth's medical initiatives. Old enemies offer trade. Even warlords ask for truce talks, not because Earth begged, but because Earth made one thing clear: protect life or face consequences. The name of the lost hospital ship, Mercy Dawn, becomes a symbol, not just on Earth, but across the stars. Children on alien worlds wear white ribbons for its fallen crew. Statues rise on neutral planets in memory. A new law passes. No weapons may be fired on marked medical vessels ever again. And behind that law, the unspoken knowledge. Earth is still watching. In a quiet Terran intelligence lab, a message is received. A new species, far beyond the rim, broadcasts threats. They don't recognize Earth's authority. They don't fear the fleets. They've heard of Mercy Dawn, and they laugh. Earth doesn't laugh. They begin building again. Not a fleet, not a missile. Something. It's older. Hidden. Kora Vale reads the report, then smiles, not cruelly but coldly. Let them come. The officer beside her nods. Another lesson? Kora stands, her shadow cast across the stars outside the viewport. Another reminder. Years later, no ships dare fire on medical vessels. Even pirates escort them safely. Even enemies give them room, because somewhere out there is a planet, with oceans and forests, children and teachers. But when you cross the line, that planet becomes a storm in the dark, a storm called Earth.